Good evening. I'd like to call to order the October 3rd, 2023 regular board meeting. I'd like to apologize for the slight delay. We were in an executive session on a matter of personnel. I'd also like to announce the meetings of the Mechanicsburg Area School District Board of Directors are being recorded and live streamed for the purpose of transparency and increased public access. The live stream, along with the recordings from previously held meetings, can be found on the school board's YouTube channel. It's time if we all would like to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll have a brief moment of silent meditation. Move on to item 1.05, Mr. Longwell, roll call.
Mr. Bradley. Here. Mr. Burkhardt. Here. Mr. Hartman. Dr. Lebo. Here. Mrs. Maris.
Here.
Ms. Morgan is present on the phone. Dr. Rhodes. Present. Mr. Sanker. Here. And Mr. Rupp.
Here. Item 1.06, endorsement of agenda. Do we have any additions to the agenda tonight?
There are no changes or additions, Mr. Rupp, so the agenda will otherwise stand as written.
Thank you. Move on to reading of minutes of the regular board meeting on September 12th, 2023. Do any board members have any corrections to the meetings of September 12th? Seeing none, that will be filed as public printed. Move on to item 2, hearing of visitors of items that are on the meeting agenda. There will be 2 opportunities for public comment this evening. As a reminder, public comment is limited to residents of the school district. At this time, we have reached the first opportunity for public comment. This opportunity is reserved for comments related to items that are listed on the evening's agenda for a vote. The second opportunity for public comment will occur at the end of the meeting. The second opportunity for public comment is reserved for comments on issues not listed on the agenda and not being voted upon. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and requires community members to observe a reasonable decorum. If you'd like to address the board, please come up to the podium and share your district name and address. Any person like to comment on items on the agenda that are being voted on tonight? Robert?
Robert Schaefer, 904 Peachtree Drive, Upper Island Township. I have comment, well, question really on one item on staff changes, 9.01. I noticed that one member of the school board is on the staff changes as being subject to appointment to a position with the school district. And my question is whether there are rules regarding whether somebody can be both on the school board and an employee of the district. So that's the question. The second is a question and a comment. It's related to 9.02. I've raised this on a different university. This is on Grand Canyon University setting up a special arrangement for a student teacher. I noticed that Grand Canyon University is primarily, but not exclusively, an online university. Are the students involved, the student or prospective student teachers involved, attending Grand Canyon online, do you know? And if so, how would the supervision from Grand Canyon work? I was a university supervisor from Shippensburg. I, in fact, did meet more than the 4 required times face-to-face. I do see that in the memorandum of agreement, it says 4 face-to-face meetings. And my question is, how, in an online situation, would there be adequate supervision from the university standpoint of the student teacher? Thank you.
Any other public comment on items that are on the agenda that will be voted on tonight? Move on to item 3, reports and presentations. Item 3.01, Superintendent of Schools report, Dr. Liney.
Yes, good evening. It's nice to see everybody in the audience tonight, and we have an opportunity for the board, the first opportunity, actually, of this school year, for the board to hear from our high school. In fact, Mr. Reedy is here this evening, and as our new high school principal, I would say he brought some support with him. I mean, I'm not going to judge the guy that was before him, but he didn't seem to be able to get one student here, and it looks like you brought a whole army with you. So I'm only saying that because Mr. Harris isn't here. Mr. Reedy is going to share with the board some information around the high school program. And just to put this in context for the board, if you recall, it used to be in the month of January that we would kind of cram everything together to show appreciation for what the board has done. And then we went out and saw some buildings, and the board was very receptive to getting into the buildings to see what was happening. And so we're on a rotation now of being able to get into the 2 buildings with the board, and then the other 6 buildings come in and do a presentation to the board. And so that's tonight's is the first of that. And Mr. Reedy, I will turn it over to you, sir.
I'll get my clicker here. I want to thank our students, and we have a couple staff members and a parent here tonight. So thank you for joining us tonight. I'll be turning it to you here in a moment. Board, thank you so much for everything that you have done over so many years of service. I know collectively this is an impressive group of years of service to our community. So I wanted to thank you. I'm a member of the community. I live here. My students go to school here, and I see school and family and community as an extension of they're kind of one and the same. So thank you very much for all the many, many years that you continue to devote to your service. So what I want to start with, I'm going to be brief so we can kind of put the spotlight on our scholars here and our staff, we have taken on 4 goals as a district, and at the high school level, there are 2 tonight when I think about the two items I'm going to be sharing about. It's belonging, wellness, but also if I were to go into a 3rd and 4th, it's behavior and instruction. I think the two entities we're going to be sharing tonight, the MASH Cultural Heritage Day and Wildcat Ambassadors, they're 2, one's an event, one's a group, but they sort of complement the 4 goals that we're aiming for. And so one of the things that I'm very proud of as our school district is the shared ownership of our beliefs. And these 2 groups, the event and the group, they really showcase what it means to be a Wildcat. This idea that students have this inherent worth. They have this idea that we know that when students are experiencing joy and fulfillment, they learn best. And then also we understand that community is the extension of learning, both inside the community and as well as outside. So I want to start with some pictures of an event we had on May 4th, 2023, and it was the beginnings of something we're going to continue this school year, and it's called MASH Cultural Heritage Day. And this was an idea that was born from our very own students. They came to us and said, we would love to do something here at MASH. And I love the respect that they had with their advocacy. They went to their student council advisor, Ms. Clever, and she'll share in a moment. And the leadership in that group figured out and worked with the admin and the school community to do something that is a reflection of our student body. One of the famous lines I remember back last May was just this idea that we are a brilliant cultural mosaic at MASH. It is amazing if you were to go in our MASH cafeteria, and these students are every single day, you could stand there and you see this mosaic of society, of MASH. And so we wanted a day to kind of showcase and have a mirror of that. Student Council-led initiative, advisors Tasha Clever and Sarah Williams really led the charge for their students. Their students were the ones to do the heavy lifting. So let me share some kind of pictures of the event, and you'll get a sense of it. I'm going to turn it to the group to introduce themselves up here and then share how the event, what it meant to them as a leader, and also as you saw, it impacted our school. Okay? So they did create posters, and there was costume, there was even dance. We use this during a day 6, which is a really amazing part of our schedule, that once a cycle day, you can have opportunities that we built into a schedule for this to happen. So students did not miss instructional time. to be part of the activity fair, or this MASH Cultural Heritage Day. They utilized the study halls they have and some other enrichment time to make this happen. We also organized it so it wasn't a free-for-all. We had set times. The student leaders came up with us, our team, that which groups would come down for about 10 minutes, and then go back to their study hall, and we had a good kind of a flow throughout that day, I would say. So here's some pictures here of the event. This is right in our beautiful Commons. We loved it so much that the signage is still up in MASH in our Commons, the flags and such. You can see there we had a lot of different pictures. There is some video shared. You get to see the exhibits. What I love is the pride and the joy of our students as they visited the Commons that day. It was probably my favorite day of the year. The students here in a bit will share what their experience was like. I love that the students made it a learning activity. So they were teachers of their own culture. So a lot of our students were designing different learning activities for students to engage in, how to learn Arabic, for example. And it was really, if you look at the faces of our students, it was amazing. We talk often about creating a space in a building where students feel safe to go and they feel comfortable. And this day for me was the epitome of students bringing something to us to say, we would love for this to happen. And it was amazing. So I'm going to have the group, if they could, and their advisor, come on up to the front. And if you would, you could maybe just stand on this way here, okay? And if you would, and we'll start with, how do we start with our advisor, Ms. Clever? If you would like to share a little bit as an advisor to the group, what this experience was like for you, and we'll pass it on to Mom.
Hi, I'm Natasha Clever. I run student council. I also teach English at the high school. So I think probably one of the things I want to point out as student council advisor is that we have sort of a collective group of activities that we run every year, right? Things that you've probably heard of, homecoming, mini-thon, things like that. And typically how that works is I've done it for quite a few years now, and so I know what needs to be done, and I have a list, and I delegate tasks, and they're all really great about doing things that I ask them to do. But they don't, for the most part, they don't come up with those events, right? That doesn't come from them. It's something that's already sort of in the process, and they just help make it happen. The beautiful thing about this event is that it was completely their idea. They came to me, said that this was a need that they saw in their student body, which is really the point of student council. They're supposed to be the voice of the student population, and they recognized that need, they heard it, and then they advocated for it, which is what we want our student leaders to do. So they worked really hard to make it happen. The two that were probably the most active in making it happen actually graduated last year and are doing big things in college, so they aren't here tonight, but these guys were all present, so I'm gonna let them talk a little bit about what that experience was like.
So we'll start with Mohammed. If you just want to introduce your name and the grade level, and then how this event impacted you.
Okay, my name is Mo. I'm a senior, and one thing I want to point out about this cultural heritage was that I feel like it was a very fun experience, considering the fact that it was the first time that we hosted it. And I feel like for the people who, like, they were all culturally united together and not apart. And so I feel like if we just keep moving this forward and hosting like every single year, more culturally diverse people are going to be more united and be more proud and express their culture more heavily and not be ashamed to hide them. And that's what I think about it.
My name is Aman. I'm a senior. I worked a lot with the two students who had graduated, and one thing I can say about the event is it teaches you a lot about adaptability. Since it was the first event, we did have some roadblocks, we had some changes, but overall, like working together as a group and trying to organize something in order for it to be as successful as it was
Um, Good evening. I'm Habiba, and I'm also a senior, so I'm graduating this year. And I actually worked on the banner, the big banner that you see right when you walk in. And I feel like Cultural Day was a great way for us to come together and bond. I saw a lot of smiles on people's faces, and even though it was very last minute, it still turned out to be a great event. And I just think that it's nice to be someone that's working on like making an actual official thing. And I can't wait to see how far this comes, and I can't wait to see it become an actual official MASH tradition.
Hi, my name's Olivia. I'm also in 12th grade, and I was fortunate enough to make a poster with 2 other ladies at my school who are also Indian, and this was a great way to share our culture. I found that I learned more about my own culture through this experience and learned about other people. As student leaders, I feel like it's our job to foster this community where we can support other peers, which is also stressed by the adults, but it's really the peers who make this. And this was a great way to promote inclusivity and create a sense of belonging.
Hi, my name's Ben. I'm a senior, and I got to attend this event. And I just think it was really interesting to see all the different aspects of like what culture really is. Like people had all different sorts of outfits I've never seen before. There was music, like you said. I got to learn all about different types of foods and stuff, and there was just so much. And it was really interesting to see people in an environment where they were comfortable being themselves. I feel like there were so many people, and obviously this being the first year, we didn't really know how many people were going to be into it. But it was really successful, and it was just cool to see how many people wanted to show and had an outlet to actually show that and be themselves and just be comfortable showing other people like who they are and their culture.
Hi everyone, my name is Nick Bosco and I'm a senior. The biggest impact that I saw in this event was that it really brought everyone together and just made everyone feel really unified and connected. And I think in high school, I think that's really necessary, and especially after COVID, I think that's kind of been a struggle recently. I also think that it also gave students of an ethnic minority a really great chance to have a voice and show some things about their culture that we probably didn't already know. And I think it can only grow from here, and I'm excited to see it become a MASH tradition.
Mr. Noss, I'm just going to click ahead a little bit here. So one of the things I highlight, and we do have a parent with us tonight, Mira, always works on staff. And Mira, as a parent, how did this experience excite you?
Hi, I'm Amira Zaran. I'm a PCA in the high school in life skills. Me and my family, actually, we are so proud and we are so happy that we are part from Mechanicsburg community. The picture for the girls, those girls, when I start subbing in the high school in 2021, I saw these girls are, sitting in a group by themselves. They feel like they're not part of the school, part of this community. I went there as like a soldier and go in. Hi girls, how are you? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I said, why don't we pick a day and wear our cultural clothes and show the good things in us? She said, yeah, why not? And they were so happy because these kids, when they see that someone, the same from their culture, doing the same thing that they're doing, even if it's silly, they love it. And day by day, they start to be open to others. Now you can hear them laughing, talking here, talking there, especially after this event. They are open. We are open-minded, but however you're going to read about us from books, it's not like the same when you are dealing with us or one or part of us. So these kids need to feel that they are part of this community, part of the whole country to give you, because now education is important. And all of these kids need to go to college and have good education to give you the best that they have. So I love this event. This event, I have a lot of ideas in my head for it, even for the future. we can extend it, make it bigger, that we can also make funds from it. There are a lot of souvenirs and stuff and by the way, only last thing. If I'm working in sales and I'm coming to show you something in papers, this machine do this machine do that, it's not like the same when I get this machine and show you how it works. So we can add iPads, laptops, we can make ends. There are a lot of ideas, a lot, and these kids are, trust me, they like, how you call it in English? Bazooka? They can do a lot of
A lot of
things.
energy.
Yes. So I wish that I cleared my point. Okay. Thank you very much.
So big themes with that event, we learned a lot about togetherness. We're such a diverse school, diverse community, so we learned that's our strength. And so we learned a lot about what we can do next. The other group we're going to share here is the Wildcat Ambassadors. And so we'll speak to that one. This group here is something that's been in the works for a while. I really appreciate their advisor, Mr. Joel Covert, who's here with us tonight. It's a great example of our talented staff who step up to the plate every day. Our advisors or our staff members who had a vision a long time ago. I know Joel worked with some vision casting with Mr. Harris about this idea of having some sort of group that exists that's sort of like a mentor leadership group that shepherds our younger students, but also kind of paves the way for other opportunities in the community. So this was a picture, first day of school. We had our class of 2027 nervously coming to the gates of their brand new building, and you have these smiling faces of leaders. And that's truly what we want to encapsulate in this group here. So I'm going to have this group, as well as the other advisor, Joel Covert, come up to the front, please. And so I'm going to share, Mr. Covert, if you would, a little bit. What was sort of what's the purpose of this group? And as faculty advisor, where do you see this group moving toward?
Yeah, I don't have a business background, but I've worked in a lot of business fields and nonprofit. I know a little bit about the law of supply and demand. And 2 years ago on freshman orientation, I came around the corner and I saw the 3 assistant principals with eyes this big. There were about 6 of us and about 300 or 400 freshmen, and the demand was there. And so we were clearly outnumbered. And I remember at that sort of pivotal watershed moment, like, we need to get students involved. I'm always struck by the fact that in any school setting there, we're really outnumbered about 1 to 14. And so there's so much more of them. In my mind, they're the engine and we're just the parts. And so I don't think we do enough to tap into student leadership. And I see it when we do it well, like you've seen tonight. It's remarkable the transformation that happens when students begin to own the school. I also think that upperclassmen often tend to think of like, this is my chance to now move on to the next phase of life. And I think that your junior, senior year, you probably have more influence than probably any time in your life. So the thinking was, how can we begin to see ourselves as leaders to reach down and leave a legacy with underclassmen as they come in? So we met, I handpicked about 8 to 12 of these folks. They really had no idea what they were getting into. But we spent 6 weeks on what's your why. And when they walked in the first day, I just had the word why on the board. And they're like, why what? And so we didn't really even get to the how and the what until later on. And we begin to establish sort of what is our why, what is our bigger purpose, and then what's the how and what. And that sort of shaped its way, as you can see now, into this Wildcat Ambassador. It's a chance to be a leader in the school. It's a chance to do some things that involve larger things like a welcoming time. But it also involves, when we have folks come in, we're going to show them around the building. It's already involved one of our students who's going to tutor a freshman in Spanish. So it's really taking ownership. So I've given them some parameters, but I've given them freedom to do creative things as well. And so they're remarkable. And I just wish you could sit with them and watch the creativity and how the juices get going and we begin to empower them that way. So that's what they're doing. It's still taking shape. It's going to transform the school.
So we'll start over here. Courtney, if you want to just introduce yourself to our board, as well as your grade, and then also how this experience has been impacting you and the school.
Hi, I'm Courtney. I'm a senior. I'm a part of
the Wildcat Ambassadors, and like Mr. Covert said, we walked in on the first day, and he started off with why. And I think most people, it's hard to determine what your why is, especially at such a young age as we all are here. And it really helps you develop, what do you want to do in life? How do you want to impact? And I think this group has definitely helped us see that and understand what is our purpose in life? Why are we here? What do we want to do? And I took a lead on freshman orientation. I helped and spoke to the freshmen. My brother being a freshman, I knew how the nerves were going to feel, and I was really excited to help with this opportunity that, like Mr. Covert said, we can impact these students and we can impact people younger than us, and I think it's a really good idea to get out into the community and show that we are a community together as older students in the school, and that we can provide and help and show why we want to be here and why we want to help.
Hi, I'm Sophia, and as Courtney said, we did talk about our why. And it's not just like what we want to do in our future as like a job. It goes deeper than that, as in like, why are we here? What do I want to do with my life based on my characteristics and like how I feel about, you know, the world and the culture. As for the impact on our like school community, I think this is a very good way to reach a helping hand out to the students who may think that they don't need help, but looking back on it now, I think we each needed that little hand to help us, and we didn't have that back then, so we kind of see what might need to be done, including peer tutoring, which Mr. Covert said that I have been fortunate enough to be able to eventually start that with the students, so I'm really excited about that.
My name is Ravana Hanna, and I'm also a Wildcat Ambassador. We really touched on our why, and why are we here, why were we in this group, and we really dig deep into that. We realized that we want to make a difference. We want to make a positive impact. We just wanted to help the underclassmen, and through freshman orientation, we helped calm their nerves. They were super nervous, but through just answering their questions, it really made an impact to them by calming their nerves, but it also made an impact to us because it helped us realize that we could be leaders and that there needs to be inspiration and motivation for these underclassmen. And through the Wildcat Ambassador Group, I think that's one of our goals.
Hi, my name is Shamaya Abdi. I'm part of the Wildcat Ambassadors. Within this leadership group, it has helped me as a student and as an individual to our society to help students feel their voices heard, to know that they're being represented from all different backgrounds and that their ideas and their perspective are being brought into the school so that they can feel inclusive and that they're not being taken out of or like feel like they're being left out. I feel like this experience has helped me as a student here to feel that I can lead, and like many of my friends in here think that they can do the same, and that we want to leave a legacy here and show that, you know, as students, as individuals in our society, we want to make a change and we want to do better.
Very good. Thank you so much.
So these students are our pride and joy. That's why we exist, as we always talk about. Very proud of each of you for coming out tonight, and our staff as well. Really, really proud of each of you. There are leaders here. They're going to be the future of our community and beyond. So I just wanted to say again, thank you so much. I think they are a product of our system. They have gone through the ranks, and so really they come to us really good. And our job is to get them unleashed to the world in front of them. So we're very proud of you. Thank you, board, again for all of your support.
Thank you.
And Mr. Reed, I just want to say that to all of you, I mean, when you look at the 9 volunteers that sit up here and the time they put in, I mean, at least to me, this is what gives me value for what I do. You know, it's not raising people's taxes, it's not improving buildings. It's honestly, it's when you see the students and you folks, you know, when you present to us, it truly gives me the value that what I'm doing has value to the community and to society and to everybody. It really makes my evening. Anybody else have any other comments they'd like to say?
Well, I love that they focused on what's your why. For me, I've been very, very passionate about my why. The sooner you figure out your why in a lot of things, the better off you're going to be in your career and in everything about your life. So super, super excited about that. And I love the cultural stuff. I think there's so many things I should have gone to go and learn and be more appreciative of the cultures that we have in our district that you just don't have visibility or awareness. And so you're just, you don't know, you're naive to it. And so maybe I can come next year.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Maris.
And for those that presented, for those of you that talked, you know, sometimes it's difficult to get in front of a group like us and speak from your heart, speak what you feel, speak what you really experience. Thank you for doing that. And as Mr. Rupp said, that's that connection. You know, there are things we do on a day-to-day that we don't necessarily feel that connection or see that connection as well. And having you come and explain and the different things that we're doing in the high school level adds that connection and kind of puts that extra validation on what we're doing, really makes a difference. And so thank you for coming and spending a little bit of your time this evening with us.
I have two comments. One is that it's amazing to see the different backgrounds of all the students that are here and that you're all leaders. And it's once again, it's why we do this. It's why we come out and spend all this time. It's to hope that our school is able to cultivate great leaders like you guys. It's also, the other point I want to make is it's incredibly bittersweet for me because I remember one of you just being just that big. And I've watched a lot of you grow up and you're now all seniors. And it's horribly sad for me. So I love all of you. You're all amazing people. And yeah, I'm so proud of all of you.
I think the student-led part is really amazing from both sides of this. As an ongoing thing to the ambassadors, it's really cool that, you know, to take on an additional task on top of your workload. And for Cultural Day, the theme that we kept hearing of the instructional components, or the educational value, I should say, that came out of it. Even though just having the representation would have been enough, just to show that, I think the other parts of it that I kept hearing, I would say, that would be a great thing to add in next year, and not be ashamed of it taking up some instructional time, because there's educational value to the whole thing. So I think it's really cool, both initiatives, and I hope to see more. So, great job, everybody.
Well, Mr. Reed, you've set a standard here for the rest of your colleagues. Let me tell you that you definitely created a high bar, and one that we're very, very proud of you. The word that you heard several times, hopefully, was this idea of leadership, and the fact that just by the fact that you're here and in front of these individuals, you are leaders now. I'm not talking about future leaders. I'm talking about leaders now. And as you step away from Mechanicsburg, understand that what you have received here, in large part because of the people sitting around this table, has prepared you for what's next in your life. And don't ever forget the opportunities that you have to be leaders and to continue to be leaders, because we need people like you to keep this great country moving in the direction that it needs to go. So wonderful job. Very inspiring. I want to run through a wall right now. This is awesome. Thank you, Mr. Reed.
And you're more than welcome to stay and watch Democracy in Action. In reality, the door is
or you can leave.
Right there.
We live stream. So
Yeah.
You
You can watch it on your electronic devices on your way home. So, thank you again. On your way home.
Right.
That concludes my report.
That's pretty good.
That was. Absolutely, Dr. Lyda, you exceeded the past. All right, we'll move on to item 3.02, Cumberland Perry Area Career Technical Center Report, Mr. Sanger.
Thank you. The JOC met last week, September 25th, and we reviewed a number of items in committee work, including the first look at the budget, which was also shared with each of the sending districts, and little tweaks here and there from our committee notes. But you know, it happened even earlier there than it does at the sending district, so that we can have a number to work with here when we get to our budget. We also met with the architect. We're at a point of having, I think, monthly meetings, regrettably, but that's how we'd like to see things as they continue to refine the schematic designs and get closer to actually putting shovels in the ground next year. At the actual JOC meeting, I had written down about the student speaker we had, thinking about how the supply and demand, how I was looking forward to having student speakers here again too. We had a young lady from Cedar Cliff who's studying automotive tech and is currently on co-op at the Maserati dealership. So it just was a really cool, just from the idea of what her day is like compared to my job. So anyway, we had another just another guest speaker who represented the CTC really well, as they all do. Excellent, just as this group was we had here. Next meeting is October 23rd. I won't be attending that in person, but kind of continuing to stay in touch. We do a lot of work in between the meetings. I think that's the last meeting before the reorg in December. We usually take November off. So that's likely it for probably half of the people around the table too, just based on the elections. So there'll be a big change at the JOC in December. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Mr. Sanger?
With the board turnover, do you expect anything to radically shift? Is your construction far enough forward that you wouldn't have board members come in and it would stop or anything like that?
That's a good question. I think that the timing worked out well, that all of the commitments from the sending districts are, we've done all the work we are going to do, that I don't think anything can be unraveled. And I don't mean it to say that it was wrong or led up to that, just to be transparent about it. I think it was just kind of, I wish, as we've talked about this, I wish we started this process like 4 or 5 years ago. It just sort of takes a lot longer to get to where it is, and even the shovels in the ground aren't until next summer. So, but no, I don't think anything's going to change there. And in fact, it's a good time. I think we're in between, like the CBA agreement is, 2 years in or something. So everything's kind of steady, even with the learning curve for the new JOC members that we'll have.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Sanger? Thank you, Mr. Sanger, for your fine report. Move on to item 3.03, Capital Area Intermediate Unit, Mr. Bradley.
Thank you. The intermediate unit meeting was held Thursday, September 28th. There was not a lot of activity other than this time of the year. They do a lot of reaching out to superintendents, to business office managers, to have different organizational discussions and planning sessions with some of the different groups, as each of the different groups talked about reaching out to business offices, reaching out for a little bit of development, a little bit of talking about where they're going, some challenges that are coming up and working ahead. And then we did have a little bit of a report of some gentleman by the name of Mr. Freeland, who was talking a little bit about, they talked about some of the security help and some of the things that he is helping along with that. So always good to hear a familiar name in the mix of some of the things that he's doing over at the intermediate unit. So, and then our next meeting is later in October. We'll just go with that.
Mr. Bradley, any questions for Mr. Bradley on the Capital Area Intermediate Unit report? Move on to item 3.04, PSBA Legislative Report. I still have not received anything on the Delegates Assembly, have you?
No.
As far as like things we can address the board, as far as what direction to go on all those. So.
Yeah, no platform or anything.
Right.
So
yeah, generally, we get that and go over anything at the meeting, but we'll carry that forward until we actually receive that. And also, I actually do have a thing on the election of some officers of that, but we've decided we're going to do that during the board president report. So that'll come up here shortly. So.
You had asked the last meeting if I'd be at the conference. I am going for work, but I will be there for Monday. So scout around. I'll get you a pen.
Okay. Very good.
What else we can represent there. So.
Absolutely. Right. Any other questions or comments on the PSBA legislative report? Move on to item 3.05, Finance and Facilities Committee report. And Mr. Sanker, you can give that, or you can turn that over to the person who actually ran the meeting.
I'll give the report and start by thanking Mr. Burkhardt for stepping in and chairing the meeting. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Senioritis has not set in yet, I guess, for you. So, I just to note for the group that there's two items that the committee reviewed that are up for consideration on the agenda this evening: the budget development calendar and the change order for the auxiliary gym. I conclude my report.
Any questions from finance and facilities? All right, move on to item 3.06, board president's report. I'd like to announce of an executive session held on September 26, 2023 at 6:15 p.m. to discuss personnel matters. An announcement of executive session held on October 3rd, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. to discuss personnel matters. And also to endorse PSBA slate of candidates in which nobody is running opposed. So, Mr. Longwell, what's our best way of handling the
So I
election?
think with the slate of candidates, none running opposed, if the board is agreeable, we can just submit the votes as they would be, because there's
Cast a unanimous vote for
all whoever the slate is.
Sounds good. Appears that you can handle that then tomorrow. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on to item 5, new business, athletics, recreation. Item 5.01, Dr. Lebo.
I'd like to ask the board to approve the fall recreation programs and staff for payroll and audit purposes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 6, new business, budget and finance. Item 6.01, Dr. Rhodes.
I'd like to ask the board to approve the treasurer's report as per the attachments, which include the following: treasurer's report for September 2023, board budget report for September 2023, general fund invoices paid check number 66868 through check number 67012 in the amount of $747,227.34. Electronic payments in the amount of $7,977,237.07. General fund invoice payable check number 67013 to number 67029 in the amount of $431,711.09. Capital Reserve Fund invoices paid check number 1873 through number 1875 in the amount of $266,408.91. Series of 2020 Construction Fund invoices paid check number 275 through 276 in the amount of $21,785.39. Series of 2023 Construction Fund invoices paid check 115 through 116 in the amount of $26,681.54. Student Activity Agency Funds quarterly report for July through September 2023, and investment portfolio.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on Dr. Rhodes' treasury report? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 6.02, Mr. Burkhardt.
I ask the board to approve the budget development calendar for the 2024-2025 budget process.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 6.03, Mr. Burkhardt.
I ask the board to adjust the annual contribution to the Simpson Public Library in the amount of $5 per student, effective with the 2023-2024 school year.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 6.04, Mr. Bradley.
I'd ask the board to approve the tax policies report as presented in the attachment.
Do we have a second?
Second.
further discussion? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 7, new business curriculum. Item 7.01, Mrs. Maris.
Make a motion for the board to approve the student services contracts as presented in the attachment.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 8, new business facilities. 8.01, Mr. Sanker.
Make a motion to acknowledge approval of Plan Con Part H for Northside Elementary.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 8.02, Mr. Sanker.
I make a motion to approve the change order for new flooring in the auxiliary gym at the high school as presented in the attached.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further comments, discussion? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
8.03, Mr. Sanker.
I make a motion to approve the purchase and installation of a hydroponics lab at the high school as presented in the attached.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further comments? Just wanted to again say how exciting I thought that whole concept was, and I was glad that the offer was made to the school for us to be able to acquire the facility. I'm as excited as a science teacher would be. So you know how I feel. So, any other comments? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 9, new business, personnel. Item 9.01, Dr. Rhodes.
I ask the board to approve the personnel report as per the attachments.
The second.
Second.
Any further comments?
I think would it be appropriate for us to address the question that was asked?
Actually, I'm not going to address that until after the vote, as per our legal counsel.
Okay.
We're addressing hiring employees of ourselves and our affiliates. Satisfied?
Yep.
Any other comments, questions? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
No.
At this time, Mr. Longwell, I'd like, as board secretary, I'd like you to schedule a special meeting for October 24th at 7 p.m. prior to, with the work session to follow, to accept the resignation of Mr. Ryan Hartman, who has accepted and has been approved of employment of the district. I also, as per board, as we had discussed, as we can legally, on how to handle it, I would like you to also, you can start the process of advertising to the residents of Region 1 that the vacancy is going to be filled and they can put resumes in. And because this is very unique, I kind of feel like the governor of California, it's happening just prior to an election as a courtesy to the two candidates who are on the ballot who are running for the four-year seat. I would like also to issue a letter to them telling that for them to be considered for this seat, actually by the time, the legal timeline will be filled after the election. If either of them would want to be considered for this seat, they too would have to participate, with a resume. And although that's not required under the law, I just think it'd be a courtesy that we are going into an election, and that keeps us entirely out of any of that, and it puts it all into the hands of the people for the four-year seat, and then the board to later fill the two-year vacancies.
Okay.
And I'll have Mr. Ryan get his resignation to you, again, as per legal advice tomorrow.
Yep.
Mr. Hartman, I'm sorry. And now, if you have any other.
Thank you. That I just wasn't sure of the protocol, but
Yeah, the protocol, the advice was is to, as board members, we vote on the personnel report first, and then I could address the board to
that's why you're doing what
the
you
process that we're going
Process
through.
follows.
And that, by the way, is also the process we've used for at least the last 25 years to fill vacancies. I mean, we really aren't bound to any particular method, but we've always advertised out into the region and then allowed the residents there to put resumes in, and then the board makes has to be a 5-vote decision to do that, to fill it.
So just to be clear, it is the intent of the board to fill the two-year term that will be
on the 12th of December.
Of,
well, the resignation is accepted on
October 24th.
October 24th, and we will fill the seat tentatively on the 12th of November.
To be
We actually
filled
have 30 days
officially.
from
Okay.
the 24th of October. And once we see the pool of applicants and how many, we could either have a special meeting prior to that November 12th meeting, or we actually gives another week where we could, if we have to do a special meeting, as we've done in the past.
So to Dr. Light's point, we will advertise the meeting for the 24th to accept the resignation. We will simultaneously advertise that there is a vacant position for the 2-year seat. We will notify the 2 candidates in that region that we're looking for or have a vacancy for that 2-year seat. And then at the November board meeting, go through the process of those that have submitted their materials and interest for that 2-year seat, and the board will make a decision there.
That is correct.
The only caveat I would say to what you just said is that I believe that Mr. Rupp gave permission to go ahead and advertise because of an anticipated opening
And
on the board.
The recommendation on that would be to do it, they would have to have them in by November 1st. That's the legal recommendation. And yes, it's very much, it's a possible, but the legal counsel felt we were perfectly fine to get a pool of applicants under the anticipation that we'll accept Mr. Hartman's. I mean, we've accepted his employment, so therefore we're kind of legally bound to accept his resignation. But to stay within the law, it's not actually official until we vote on that. And it was recommended not to do it in the same evening. So.
Because legally, he couldn't serve on the board and be an employee.
Well, we hired him, that's legal. He could not work, and for compensation.
Yep.
And it's not, the first, this happens all the time. It's not the first time it's happened in mechanics, but we're a board member and sought out employment. Approved of it by the administration and the boards. So if you have any other questions, we can talk about that tomorrow, like if there's any timeline questions.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rupp.
All right, thank everybody. Item 9.02, Dr. Rhodes.
Ask the board to approve the affiliation agreement with Grand Canyon University.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further comments, discussion?
Any clarification for gentleman who asked?
Well, now's the time to talk about it. I mean, if you have a concern.
Last time he told me I had to wait until insurance.
Well, no, I mean, again, we don't go into.
I know.
As you know,
I'm
we
just
don't generally do a dialogue or a public comment, but if somebody raised a comment, that's why that's at the beginning of the meeting, we're voting on it. And if that has piqued your interest, you certainly, as a board member, can ask.
Yeah, I think you raised a
for
good point.
clarification on
I'd
that.
like to-
That's the correct process to do it, yes. To keep everybody equal and the same.
So, do you want to ask your question?
Yes, please. I think the question was, seeing as that university has a significant portion of their students online, what does the face-to-face supervision look like?
So my understanding is it's face-to-face. What I want to see clarification on is it face-to-face online, or is it synchronous or asynchronous? I don't know the answer to that, quite frankly, and we'll look into it to find out.
Okay.
I will be honest with you, 5-7 years ago, I pushed back hard on these kinds of opportunities. Given where we are currently with staffing and the shortages that we have with professional staff, frankly, we are looking for opportunities. One of the advantages I think that we get with something like this is we get to see them live and in action, and we still have an opportunity to make a decision if they're up to the caliber that we want for a student teacher in our district. And we have had student teachers that we've said, you're just not ready for us, that we're not compelled to keep them if they're not measuring to that standard.
Yeah, thank you.
Further questions or comments on item 9.02? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Item 10, new business policy, item 10.01, Mr. Bradley.
I'd ask the board to approve 2 non-resident tuition-free students to complete the 2023-2024 school year.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Mr. Longwell.
Unless I hear negative response, I'll record the roll call as a unanimous vote.
Moving on to item 12, hearing of visitors. We have reached the second opportunity for public comment. This opportunity is reserved for comments on issues not listed on the agenda and not being voted upon this evening. As a reminder, public comment is limited to residents of the school district. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and requires community members to observe a reasonable decorum. If you'd like to address the board, please come up to the podium and share your name and district address. This is for items that were not on the agenda. Sir.
Mr. Up, Dr. Mighty Board. I'm Mitchell Thompson, I live at 1949 Macintosh Drive, which is in the school district here. I've lived from Thailand to Florida, many places in between. Speaking of hydroponics, I studied hydroponics 50 years ago in Arizona. Good thing. But I'm a senior citizen. I've been retired now for 18 years. And honestly, I retired on 20% of my pay, okay, way back then. And the increases that have come since then have been negligible. So we're in a very tight situation. And honestly, I am paying more tax to the school district now than I've ever paid anywhere in my entire life, even when I was working for a good deal more than I'm making now. It's also 50% higher than they told us when they built our home. So it seems to me, though, that the district might be killing the goose that laid the golden egg, because seniors tend to pay their taxes and not add to the burden of bringing students in. I have no students in the school district. Grandkids, my great-granddaughter's not old enough yet, but I think we want to have senior citizens here. But in our current economic environment, it's really, really difficult to pay this high a tax. And I wonder, yes, there is a $250 that would return, which is a drop in the bucket, and yes, I will be opting for that. But it seems to me that if reasonable consideration could be given to seniors on fixed incomes in reducing their tax load in this district, it would be extremely helpful and encourage more seniors to come.
Thank you very much, sir, for your comment.
I'll be following up with you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, any other public comment on items that were not on the agenda for a vote tonight? Seeing none, item 13, Mrs. Maris.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned.